Hello and welcome to the latest edition of All Wednesday. We're here at Sheffield Wednesday's Middlewood Road training ground today. Jordan is the under-18s manager at Sheffield Wednesday, but you're a little bit more than that, aren't you, in terms of Wednesday-isms? Been around this club a long time.
Yeah, so I've just celebrated in November my 3-year anniversary at the football club, working in the youth development phase as youth development phase manager to start with, and then sort of progressing through with the under-18s and a little bit with the 21s as well. So yeah, it's been an enjoyable and roller coaster journey, but
it's been quite, hasn't it? Not really much has happened over the last 3 years or anything.
No, it's yeah, it's obviously been a very tough time to be at the football club, but I think what we've all done is we've all sort of got our heads down, roll our sleeves up, and it's definitely brought us as a group of people within the building a lot closer together.
Yeah.
And I think what we've said along all the way in the adversity, there's been so much opportunity, not just for the players but for everybody at the football club, and in a strange way it's kind of been a really enjoyable place to work as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously before we go on and talk about the football and the work that's been done there, how proud have you been to be part of this football club over the last few weeks, given everything that's happened, obviously with the previous owner and all that kind of stuff? When that came to an end, to be part of something that it felt so united, so together, such an impressive collective.
Yeah, I think first and foremost for me, I'm a Sheffield Wednesday fan, and the club means a hell of a lot to me, regardless of working at the football club or not. I've supported the club since I can remember. One of my earliest memories was the '93 Cup final. So the football club, just to me, regardless of what's gone on in recent times, means a hell of a lot. So I think to see everyone pull together and the way the managers sort of galvanised the group of players and the group of staff and give us all a sense of feeling and worth, and to be part of that has been a really, really good place to work, in my opinion, in the last few months. So yeah, I'm really proud of everyone, of the fans, of the players, and of the staff as well. I think it's been a real pivotal moment in Sheffield Wednesday's long history.
Yeah, and it does feel like this period through the adversity comes opportunity, and there's been a few lads who've got a chance that maybe wouldn't have got a chance in normal circumstances. Having spent time with a lot of these kids coming through, how exciting is it for you, to see, I know not everyone's gone and played big roles in the first team, but to see these players that you've worked with sort of getting the chance to go and beat Leeds United and things like that? I think,
there's players that have played big roles of players who have played not so big roles, but they've all played roles, and they've all had jobs to do, and they've fulfilled those jobs unbelievably well for how young they are. Some players have surprised us, in terms of where.
Is that in terms of what they've done more than even you thought they would?
Yeah, I think again, we go back to where there's adversity becomes opportunity, and some players have gone and grasped that opportunity unbelievably well. I think of young players like Ernie Weaver. Ernie's been fabulous, and the way he's come into that back line. I know he's injured at the moment, but when he was playing, he was almost playing like an experienced pro.
One of the things I loved most about watching Ernie play was the way he was screaming and shouting at people like a centre back that was, 35,
days gone
not
by,
a teenager.
Yeah. But Ernie's always been like that, and I think when you look at what characteristics young players give, Ernie from the psychological and social side has always been that player. He's always been the sort of Captain Marvel. He's always won the armbands in the youth teams and his under-16 season and stuff like that. So Ernie's sort of psychological side and social side has carried him through, really.
Yeah.
On top of the fact he's a very good defender.
Yeah. Because it must be very difficult we've spoken to Henrik about it a little bit, but trying to get that right in terms of the timing of the next step in their development, not doing too much too soon. Obviously, we've seen with George Brown, with Ernie, that they've picked up knocks, and not to say it's necessarily linked, but making decisions based on their mental well-being as well as anything else, right? Going, yes, he's a young player, and yes, we've got a chance to play him, but should we? That must be a very difficult line to tread.
I think there's two ways you look at it. Yes, you can overprotect the players, and you can sort of question yourself and re-question yourself as to, are they ready? But there's also the sense that young players don't have any fear because they've got nothing to be fearful of. There's no lived experiences of well, I failed in that, I need to be better here, that they just go in and play with freedom. And there's
we did see that in those cup games, right? You saw
yeah,
these,
for
like,
sure.
just fearless kids going out and having fun, really.
Yeah, for sure. And you're sort of chucked in the deep end, chucked into the lion's den, and it's sort of flight or fight, you know. And what the boys showed especially in the League Cup campaigns, and what George and Ernie have done within the Championship campaign, they've stood up, you know, and they've been those players that we needed them to be across the course of the season.
Obviously, Steve Haslam was here for a long time. Steve maybe didn't get some of the credit he probably deserved, I think, amongst the fan base. And you look now at the work that's being done by Sheffield Wednesday's academy and the players that are coming through. Like you see an Ernie Weaver, a George Brown. They've had very different paths as well, haven't they? Like that's not like a route of going, oh, they've just come through the academy. Like there are so many elements to take on board when you work within a youth development system at a football club, right? Yeah,
for sure. And I think when, you know, just touching, I think it's really relevant on Steve and the works that Steve did over the last, I think, 10, pushing towards 10 years that Steve was academy manager. It's took Ernie Weaver 10 years to be an overnight success.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, Ernie's been with us since he's 8 years old. People won't have seen the work that's gone into Ernie. By himself, by his parents, by the club, and you're right. I think there is a perception that, from the outside looking in, that the academy's not, you know, all guns blazing. But I think over the last 6 months, the academy's played a really pivotal role.
Had to.
Exactly, in keeping this club going day by day. Whether that's staff having to step up and do jobs and 2-3 job roles, whether that's players. And going back to the original point, what we said in the outset, it's galvanised the group of people, and people have grasped the opportunity and ran with it. But I think in terms of what you touch on with George has had a completely different journey. George wasn't playing academy football or professional football until he was, I think, a first year pro, came on trial with us.
Yeah.
Was a little bit rough around the edges. But he showed character, he showed desire, he showed resilience. He showed strength mentally and both physically, and you know, George's journey has just sort of taken off in this last 18 months, and we're all really proud of him. Yeah,
because you look at Wednesday's academy, and there haven't been probably as many first team sensations as I think anybody would want.
Yep.
But you do look at the players that have come through, and there's been players lost as well. You know, you look at someone like Caelan Kadamari, who's gone. There's been interested in some of the young players that are currently there as well. And it's a difficult situation, isn't it, when you're a championship club and effectively you have no recourse, right? Like someone can just come in and go, well, they're quite good. Thank you very much and see you later.
Yeah, I think there's always a pecking order in football, you know, and at this moment in time, we're probably not at the top table of English football where we've been previously. But I think that the job of an academy is to do probably two things: either to create players for the first team or create revenue for the first team. You know, and I think, like you say, it depends what you determine as success for an academy. We sell a lot of players young. Yeah. You know, so from behind closed doors, we know we're doing a good job.
Yeah, not everyone knows when you're making a little bit of money on a 13, 14-year-old who's maybe gone somewhere else.
Exactly. And I think when it comes to those decisions, although really tough decisions for players like Caelan, I don't think you can turn those opportunities down when they're put on your doorstep. So yeah, we're really proud of the players that are both playing in the first team, the players that are sort of playing Premier League Championship football now for other clubs, and also the players that have gone on to different journeys and what may be deemed as better journeys. We're really proud of them as well.
Yeah, and on Henrik, obviously Henrik has utilised youth probably through choice and not so much through choice at the same time in certain scenarios. But how important has he been to sort of the development of the young players, and how is he with the youngsters?
Henrik's very, very good. He's very big on the human and the personal side.
Yeah, he mentions that a lot in press conferences and stuff. He often talks about the human side of football.
And it's genuine. It's genuine. He's a very approachable person. He's a very knowledgeable person. And I think whether it's necessity or whether it's choice, I think he would genuinely put young players in. And the same with staff. You know, I don't think our academy's ever been as close to the first team as it has now, and I think while Henrik's in charge, I think that will continue.
Yeah, because he's obviously had a lot of players up in the first team training and things like that. You know, I remember there was a point last season, I think, where Caelan Kadamata and Will Grange were both up with the first team briefly, despite being, I think, 14 or 15 at the time.
Yeah, so
it's their experiences, right? Even if they're nowhere near at that stage being able to play first team football, having that chance to sort of see the levels is a big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think what our job as developers is in terms of player development is to give the boys as many experiences as we can. If a young player goes into the first team and has a brand new experience, then we've not done our jobs. You know, we have to give them little tasters and snippets, whether it's good or bad. And I think that just goes to prove, and that goes to show that the fact that we didn't have to put those players within the first team environment last season. Yeah. But we did, you know, because at that moment in time it was the right thing for those players. And generally what you find with high potential players is it's really difficult to put sort of what I call a speed bump into their journey. Yeah. Because generally speed bumps and setbacks and knockbacks provide a more resilient person.
Yeah, but if you're like tons better than a lot of the people you're around, it's very difficult.
It's really difficult. So, and there's loads of ways we can do that, whether it's putting them into the first team training environment from a social and psychological aspect, whether it's playing them an age group up, or in Caelan and Will's case, 2 or 3 age groups up. And Yisa allow for that matter. But yeah, it's always really challenging at times to develop the best players the best way you can. Yeah,
because I remember chatting to Pierce Charles at one point. I think Pierce had just stepped up into the first team, and I think I'd spoken to him either after a 21s game or something like that, but he'd been training with the first team. Yeah. And he was just like, they just kick it so much harder.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, Pierce is, for me, he's one of the best young goalkeepers in Europe.
Yeah, he's very, very high ceiling.
Yeah, he's absolutely fabulous to watch. And I remember the Nicky Weaver when Nick was here, and even as a youngster, he was adulating him as one of the best he's ever worked with and the best he's ever seen. So yeah, for me, I think Pierce's ceiling is so big.
Yeah, and with regards to your job as an under-18s manager this season, it must be very hard because your players are being like pulled, because effectively everyone's playing up an age group now, because you know the 21s are now first team players, the 18s are now 21s players. Like, how do you, as a, not just yourself but as a group, like how do you try and navigate that? Because I think it's one of those things where because of that, results are going to be difficult. Yeah. I think fans will maybe sometimes look at results and go, oh no, they're struggling there. It's like, yes, because they're all children.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that. And I think it's, you sort of look at it on 2 aspects. You know, obviously as humans, we all want to win football matches. I'm a winner. Every time we cross that white line, I want to win football matches. But our job is to develop players for the first team. So yeah, from an outside looking in, you know, you can say, well, they should have probably won that game, or they should have been more competitive in that game. But we've had 14-year-olds on the pitch in under-18s games this season. Yeah. I think we finished. Is it
a similar thing? Sorry to interrupt, but Henrik often talks now, and obviously Wednesday's situation as a senior team is very difficult. Yeah. He talks about looking behind the result a lot. Yeah. And is that even more important at your
massively
level?
So. One thing I always say to the young players and the players that I've worked with over the last few years is, if we're going to lose a football match, let's lose it the way we want to lose. You know, and that's by fighting, that's by running, that's by doing the basics as the best you can get. And at that point, if you still get beat, no problem. You know, there's ways to lose football matches, and I think, especially with the most recent game against Preston, we perform well as a first team. Yeah. You know, you can see the work that the first team manager's doing and the first team coaching staff are doing. For what they've got and the tools within their arsenal, they're doing a very, very good job. And it's the same for the young players. You know, as long as we represent the football club the way the football club should be represented, you know, the byproduct of that is you might lose 1 or 2 games, but we do produce players for the first team.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of going back to the grander situation around Wednesday. It does feel like everybody's trying to because of all the problems that we've had, that people are trying to just make this is all, make it all something that everybody can be proud of again. And I think, the players on the pitch are something that have a big role to play in that, don't they? Like, because that's what the outward thing is that fans actually see. Yeah.
The fans only see the 90 minutes on a Saturday, or a Tuesday night. They don't see the work that goes on behind the scenes. How overworked we are as staff at the minute, and how passionately we really care about this football club. And
everyone's
really
doing 15 jobs.
At least. So yeah, we are, it is backs against the wall, but it's a galvanised group. I think in terms of the leaders we've got within the dressing room, with Baz and Liam, and now Liam Cooper coming into the fold as well, who's a unbelievably good leader alongside Baz and Palms. We've got some really good people at this club, and hopefully, there's brighter days to come.
Just on that, with the first team players, when you have, I know Baz isn't a Wednesday by birth, but he might as well be now.
He's an adopted Wednesday.
Yeah. And obviously you've got Palms, who is.
Yeah.
Like, as an academy, from your perspective and the different levels as well, having that to call upon, two players that have given so much to this football club and care so genuinely about this football club, that must be a really lovely thing to be able to pull on. I know you've had them in to talk to the players.
Yeah,
and stuff
definitely.
Like that.
I think at the start of the season, I felt like it was really important for both Baz and Palms to come and speak to the young players. We speak about how hard it is to make one appearance for this club, and I think they've done it, between them
1,000 times between them now.
Yeah, so
far off.
And they've just represented this football club so well for so long, and that consistency in behaviour and that consistency in performance is the hardest thing to do in football. So for us as a young group of players to have those two as role models, who produce role modelling behaviour every single week to the maximum, is so important for our young players. And even the players, when they go up there, Baz is the first one to come and speak to them. I've just been in the canteen there, and Dom Iorfa's going and sitting next to Yisa and stuff like that. We've got some really, really good, experienced players within the first team who genuinely care about our young players.
Yeah, because am I right in saying that it's like not an initiation, because that sounds like it's rogue, but is it like a ceremony, for want of a better word, when you become officially a first team player from 21s moving into the first, and you get a spot in the change room sort of thing?
Yeah, I think you have to earn your stripes, don't you?
Yeah.
And have that element of acceptance. But I always go back, I've said it for years, until you make 50 first team appearances or 50 league appearances, you've not made it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure where Bailey and Pearson are at the moment, but
not far off, I don't think.
To me,
Bailey will be far off now.
They've still got a little way to go. But again, for players like that, just touching on Bailey, Bailey 18 months ago, 2 years ago, was in the academy building here.
Yeah.
So for our young players to see genuine pathway and again, an opportunity
an actual
for our
tangible
young players.
thing from to look
of
at,
course,
isn't it?
of course. And you look at someone like Bailey, who was part of the under-18s, under-16s, all the way through the academy. To see someone go and do that, it just opens up so much belief in our young players to say, well, if Bailey can do it, I can do it as well.
Yeah. And from your perspective as a Wednesday fan, how nice is it for you to be part of this? Not obviously there's good times and there's bad times and all that kind of stuff. But do you often sort of you'll be getting changed in the morning and you'll put your kit on and you're like, it's a bit nuts. It's like this because I have the same thing as from a journalistic side of things.
Yeah.
I'll collect my accreditation before a game and I'll look at the badges and I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think it's I'm very proud of this football club, and I'm very proud to represent this football club every single day. And I think it's important that we have Sheffield Wednesday people within this football club.
Yeah.
Because, like I say, in the 6 months that's gone previous, when it's been really, really tough to work in this environment and sort of get up in the morning and lead the players, it's never felt like that to me. I've always got up and tried to represent the football club as best as I can, because it does mean that little bit more to me.
Yeah.
And I think if you'd have probably offered me this as a 7-year-old, apart from playing for the club.
Yeah, I'm in exactly the same boat. Yeah. As soon as I realised I wasn't good enough, I was like, where can I get in?
So now I'm really proud to work for this football club, and yeah, I genuinely hope that brighter days are to come, not just for me as an employee, but for me as a fan as well.
Yeah, and just on that, before we wrap up, where do you see the next few years? Because obviously there are a lot of young players that have been spoken about at Wednesday. You know, obviously Will and Yisa are the two that are sort of forefront of that because of them playing so high up. But you know, you look around you at 21's level, 18's level. Do you look at this group of players and go like, we've got some really good boys here? Yeah,
I think you've always got to have that belief in the players, because at the end of the day, it only takes one person to believe in you, you know, to go and reach your potential. So I'm really proud of this young group, and I know Will and Yisa do get a lot of attention, and rightly so, but there's a lot more good players at this football club, and it doesn't get spoken about enough. Because at this football club, and like it's shown recently, the academy's been the heartbeat of the football club. Whether it's staff, whether it's players, we've all had to muck in and we've all had to step up and do things that have been a lot harder in recent times. But there are some good young players at this football club, and I hope and I think with the manager that we have, there'll be a lot more opportunity for the young players at this football club as well.
Brilliant. Well, fingers crossed we see a few more of them, and maybe not in such distressing circumstances.
Let's hope so.
Jordan, thanks very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers. Thank you very much, Joe.
See you next week. Cheers.